Morning. So, how we doing, guys? It is Monday morning, March the 6th. Is it March? Yeah, March 6th. And today we are going to be in Psalm 34. The cats are in the background being a little bit rambunctious this morning. So hopefully they're not too big of a distraction. And got an interesting little passage this morning I thought was super interesting. So let's jump in and we'll see where it takes us. One of the cats just jumped up on my lap. Here she is. And so here we go. It says this. It says, "Come, my children, listen to me, and I will teach you the fear of the Lord. Whoever of you loves life and desires to see many good days, keep your tongue from evil and your lips from telling lies. Turn from evil and do good, and seek peace and pursue it. The eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are attentive to his cry, but the face of the Lord is against those who do evil, to blot out their name from the earth." And so David is, we kind of jumping into the middle of this psalm today. Hopefully you've been reading over the weekend. And David says, what caught my attention this morning was verse 12, 13, and 14. He says that whoever loves life and desires to see many good days, keep your tongue from evil and your lips from telling lies, turn from evil and do good, seek peace and pursue it. And he says essentially, if you want to experience a good life, well, here's a way to do that. And it has to do with the way that we speak to one another. He says, keep your tongue from evil and your lips from telling lies. And then he says, turn from evil and do good, seek peace and pursue it. And I just thought that was super interesting about the words that we use, especially the part about keep your tongue from evil and your lips from telling lies. Now, we have to remember how powerful words can be. From the Christian perspective, the world was created through a word that God spoke, and creation came into being. And so words have power, especially from the Christian perspective. And the reality is that worlds they create worlds. They create our realities, and they have power. And I can even think of ways that things that people have said to me over the years, the way those things have stuck in my life, the way they have influenced my life. And David makes this observation that if you want to experience good days, then keep your tongue from evil. Now, our language is interesting, and the way that you and I communicate is interesting, because there is an external factor to the way that we communicate, and there's an internal factor. The external factor is like the way that you and I speak to one another, the way that you and I speak to the circumstances that surround us, the way that we speak to people, the way that people speak back to us. Those things will affect our environment. And so, for example, just the way that you react to each other, the ways that how an argument can escalate, and the language that we use can really affect our emotions and one another. But there's also the internal factor. And what we say to ourselves, what we say, kind of that internal dialogue of what's going on, and the way that we, I don't know if you're like me, there's this internal dialogue, and you're constantly speaking to yourself about the things that are going on in your life. And so, our language, our words, they affect our external realities. They affect the way that we communicate with one another, and we can escalate situations. We can make things better. We can make things worse by the way that we choose to use language to label those things. And in turn, it's exactly the same internally, in the sense that we can escalate or de-escalate things by the language that we use to speak. One of the cats is in the background scratching something over there. Now, what's interesting about our language, and I feel like I'm on a rant, is that oftentimes we think that we're just speaking from our emotions. But the thing about our emotions is that you and I have more control over them than we think. Oftentimes we use our language to express our emotions. But the problem with emotions is simply this: emotions are great servants and terrible masters. And if you allow for your emotions to master your life, then you're going to be a miserable person. But if you can learn to put your emotions in check, allow them to be the gauges that express where you're at, or help you observe where you're at, but don't let them rule, don't let them drive the bus. Jesus says it like this in Luke. He says, "A good man brings good things out of the good stored up in his heart, and an evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored up in his heart. For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of." And he's saying that sometimes our emotions can do that. But here's the deal: our spirit can check our emotions. The Spirit of God that lives inside of you, that lives inside of me, it can check those things and needs to put them in check from time to time. And so the way that we use our language, the way that we label those things, the internal dialogue that we use, the external dialogue that we speak into people's lives, it creates our environments. It changes our world. And so what's the application? What's the invitation challenge? I know that for me, I'm going to pay attention to the words that I say this week. I'm going to pay attention to the words that I speak. I'm going to pay attention to the language that I use to label the emotions that I experience. And perhaps think about changing those things. Perhaps think about changing the words that I use in a better way, and see how that then can transform my experience, and perhaps be a better witness, and be more positive around me. So hopefully that makes sense. I don't know. Bit of a rant. When the cats get going in the background, it drives me nuts, and so I kind of lose my train of thought. So I'm sorry about that. So hopefully you guys have a great Monday. It's Monday, so make a difference today. Make a difference Monday, and we will catch you tomorrow. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Bye.